20XX answers the question, what if Mega Man X but again? Before I get into why this game is excellent, you should know that I have no nostalgia for the Mega Man franchise. I played and enjoyed Mega Man X on the Wii U Virtual Console like 7 years ago, and I'm officially too old for the 2010s to be considered my childhood. 20XX is a retro-styled run-and-gun roguelite platformer by Battery Staple Games and Firehose Games. It takes the gameplay mechanics established in Mega Man X and combines them with randomized loot and procedurally generated levels. There is a story, technically. In the base game, two robot contractors, Nina and Ace, jump and shoot their way through increasingly devious obstacle courses to help two dickhead scientists collect data. Okay, now you know the whole plot. Surprisingly, 20XX does not feature pixel graphics. Instead, sprites are of pleasantly smooth quality and resolution, and look more like Mega Man concept art than the Super Nintendo could have handled. The music is an absolute bob. The music is an absolute bob! Huh?
Stop saying Bob!
I said Bob the second time.
Yeah, you keep saying Bob.
Bob.
Why are you saying Bob?
An absolute bob.
No, it's Bop.
No, it's Bob. Wait.
It's Bop. It's an absolute Bop. You mean it's good, right?
Yeah?
Yeah, it's Bop, not Bob. Would it be Bob?
Oh no.
It's Bop, honey.
Oh no, I should have looked up my memes.
Oh my god, I can't.
Oh no. Okay. Let me just fix that. Yeah, you're right, it's bop. The music is an absolute bop. The songs sound like lovingly crafted OC remixes of 16-bit tracks from some hidden gem you missed out on. If it wasn't for its many modern features and design elements, 20XX would 100% feel like an HD remake of an SNES classic. All this to say, 20XX perfectly nails the style it was going for. If you enjoy games like Shovel Knight that take the best parts of retro games and update the rest, you'll find a lot to love here before even getting into the gameplay. You have the choice between Nina, who is literally just X but girl, and Ace, who is literally just Zero but called Ace. The difference between the two is in their possible weaponry. Nina's base attacks are ranged, while Ace fights in melee. Both can replace their basic attacks with a different one by finding and equipping new weapons. These are all side grades. Nina's Scattershot, for example, fires 3 projectiles at once, but each one deals less damage than the starting blaster. There's no wrong choice here, it's all down to your preference and playstyle. I beat the game once with each character and enjoyed both equally. Ace's playstyle is a lot more aggressive, since you need to get close to your targets, but his damage output is also a lot higher. This makes him the riskier but also faster choice for more experienced players. It took me 40 minutes to get through all the levels as Ace, as opposed to the 50 minutes I spent beating the game with Nina. Hi, Leon.
Oh, Leon, not me.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. There are 2 DLC characters I haven't tried yet, but they exist. I had to bring them up at some point. If I were to receive keys for them redeemable on the Epic Store, I'd do another video, just saying. Movement is obviously important to pull off properly, especially when aping the golden age of platforming. Running and jumping is fairly standard. Your default speed and jump height feel just right. Like in Mega Man X, you can wall jump off of the same wall repeatedly to climb vertically, which allows for tons of tiny shortcuts and time saves when used cleverly. The dash raises the skill ceiling beautifully. All levels can be navigated with basic movement, but your dash adds a lot of additional momentum to your jump that will allow you to drastically increase the speed at which you navigate each challenge. And since every stage will reward you with bonus pickups if you beat it fast enough, there's always an incentive to go fast. So movement is highly enjoyable and allows you to tackle levels at your own pace. Beginners can make it through methodically while learning how to speedrun more and more of the game with each attempt. And you actually will get better at the core mechanics, rather than just memorizing level layouts, since all stages are procedurally generated and different every time. There are 4 distinct zones, each with 2 bosses, all of which you have to beat eventually. After every boss, you'll get to choose which of the 3 randomly chosen bosses and zones you want to face next. You'll have to beat 2 levels in every zone to get every boss. The levels are what you'd expect: ice, fire, jungle, temple. Each zone has its own gimmicks, enemy types, and level flow. Agnes Ort, the super hot facility, for example, has fireball traps, conveyor belts, and lava pits. The difficulty scales as you progress through the stages. Levels get longer and you'll start to encounter more traps and tougher enemies. These new badniks don't just have more health, but have drastically different and harder to avoid attack and movement patterns. Bosses scale up over time as well. Of course, their health increases and they attack with greater frequency. They also gain entirely new attacks and gimmicks. The obligatory fire and ice boss duo can be simply picked off one after another early on, but in the later stages there's a 10-second timer that will resurrect one if the other is still kicking. Some bosses become significantly more challenging than others, and not all of them do so in a way that's actually fun. Fighting Giant Flower Thing Death Lotus late in the game will cause it to spawn in so many additional enemies and subsequently bullets that it becomes essentially impossible to avoid any of it. At that point, it's actually smarter to just abuse invincibility frames, mash attack, and just hope it dies before you do. Defeating bosses gives you 3 options to pick from. You can gain its power to use for yourself, or you can indulge in the roguelite element that I somehow have hardly brought up so far. Your other 2 choices are a moderate number of nuts, the game's currency, and a randomly chosen stat upgrade, more health, energy, damage, and the like. You can have 3 powers equipped and assigned to different buttons. Every power is especially effective against a specific boss, so that might influence the order in which you want to attempt each stage. Powers will also help neutralize some obstacles. Splinter Frost, for example, can freeze the fireball traps in Agnesort, disabling them entirely. Since powers can be used to defeat enemies, to interrupt bosses' special attacks, and to make platforming more manageable, choosing the right ones is crucial. They each draw from the same energy pool, so using them efficiently is important. As you navigate each stage, you will find dozens of upgrades all over the place. While each one is rather minor, they'll start to add up. Increasing your max health, energy, movement speed, and damage will help you keep up in the arms race of scaling difficulty. You'll also find suit upgrades. These will give you new skills like double jumps or air dashes, or give you passive abilities like gaining a shield while dashing or cancelling out knockback when taking damage. On the roguelite side of things, you'll find so-called soul chips after defeating souped-up robots and bosses. In between runs, you can use soul chips to buy permanent upgrades and unlock more items for you to find in the future. You'll probably need a couple of attempts to make it to the end, but at least it'll get easier as your character starts off stronger every time. I found the upgrade system perfectly functional, though not terribly exciting. To me, 20xx's strength lies in its tight platforming and boss design. Any power-ups you find will add a little variety, but generally won't change how you play much. A successful run will probably take you between 40 minutes to an hour. Dying at the end is, of course, horribly painful, but the journey to get there is good fun every time. If you don't want to spend dozens of hours on failed attempts, there is an easy mode that gives you 3 lives to make it through. While that is extremely casual for a roguelite, it would also still be pretty unforgiving for a Mega Man game. My first successful run was on easy, and it would have taken me forever to beat the final stages on normal without a chance to scout them out first. If you're better at video games than I am, there's also a hard mode that can be made even harder with optional skull modifiers, but I'm not touching that. So overall, 20xx is pretty 20x excellent. I don't know if it's worse in writing or when you say it out loud. Oh well.
Either way.
I'll leave it. The difficulty curve is mostly on point, though there are a few bosses that turn into a complete mess in the late game. If you enjoy Mega Man and Rogue Legacy, or are just looking for a wonderfully polished platformer, roguelite, or both, 20xx should be right up your alley. 20xx is available on PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Switch. If you've been making sure to pick up the free games on the Epic Store, you might already own it. Don't overlook 20xx. And hey, thank you very much for watching. Again, I don't know, I doubt I'll be at 50 subscribers by the time this video comes out. So,
Subscribe, gamers.
There we go, I was waiting for that. So hey, if you want to help me create more reviews of games that are actually currently relevant, then if I reach 50 subscribers, that would help getting accredited on Keymailer, and then people know I'm not a scam bot. That would be great. I hate when people think I'm a scam bot.
But what if you're a scam bot, though?
What if I'm a gopher with a headset? Please verify that you're human. Shit. Well, thank you very much. If you like reviews of video games, make sure you subscribe. Go play Monster Jaunt if you haven't already.
Also 20XX.
Also 20XX, yeah. Also, Inferno Plus made a game that's also called 20XX, so check that out too. It would be a shame if there was only room for one 20XX on the internet. One of you should have Googled whether a game called 20XX already existed, but it's too late for that. Okay, goodbye.